俺の方が強い。お前の負けだ。
My Hero Academia is more than just an anime and manga. It's a story that has captivated the world in many ways. And now that Season 5 is out, we get to enjoy these characters and stories even more as the events of the World Full of Heroes continue. There's a lot to love about this series, but like most anime, without the characters themselves, it wouldn't be as fun. And My Hero Academia has scores of great characters, both good and evil, that helps you enjoy the show even more. So, allow us to show you the best My Hero Academia characters. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. 9. Mei Hatsume.
I suppose it's time for me to wrap this show up.
Yeah, we thought we'd surprise you by talking about a character that you don't see too often. But when she appears, oh boy, does she make an impact. Mei Hatsume is a support student at UA, and she appeared first in the Sports Festival arc. Her quirk is actually not the important thing about her, which makes her very different from most other characters in the show. Rather, it's her brain and technical acumen that makes her shine, outside of her over-the-top personality, of course. Recall that her quirk is Zoom, as she can see things from miles away, but you remember Mei because of her gadgets and all that she can do with them. She's made jetpacks, suits of armor, helped Deku multiple times modify his costume, and she's always making something alongside Power Loader in the development studio. Plus, she's really crafty in the strategy sense. Like when she tricked Tenya at the sports festival and got to show off her gadgets for 10 minutes before forfeiting the match because she had done what she needed to do. Mai is a gift, so please appreciate her. 8. Fumikaze Tokoyami. Revelry in the Dark. Tokoyami is a very special character in My Hero Academia in key ways, including how she was technically one of our first examples of how odd quirks can be. Because not only does he have a bird head, but his quirk is Dark Shadow, an entity that lives within him that he can control. Yet, despite his look and dark appeal, he's a really nice guy. One who is always willing to help and constantly is trying to do right by others when the situation arises. Plus, he is one of the few quirk users we know that honestly has a fear of his abilities. Because when Dark Shadow loses control, it gets freaky. Which we have seen both in the summer camp arc and in the movie Heroes Rising. Which arguably makes him a bit more of a boss because he has overwhelming power within him. And yet, he intentionally keeps it at bay because he doesn't want to hurt anyone. Stoic, powerful, epic in his own right, Tokoyami is a stalwart part of Class 1A, and we look forward to seeing what he does in Season 5. 7. Mirio Togata. Season 4 changed a lot of things for My Hero Academia. Not just in regards to the villains we met, like Overhaul and Gentle Criminal, but the heroes we met and the students that were also at UA. Key among them was the Big Three, the top students of UA at the time, with the leader of them being Mirio Togata, aka Lemillion. The reason he was such an important addition was that originally, many people felt that he was going to be the successor to One for All. Both Night Eye and Principal Nezu believe that, and it's not that hard to see why. Much like All Might and Deku, he believes in helping people and will go all out to do so. He even called himself Lemillion with the goal of saving 1 million people in his hero career. And he was willing to risk it all to do that in the case of Ari. Losing his powers didn't deter him one bit from trying to save her, and that makes him a top character in our book. Number 6. Eraserhead.
My quirk! Where are my bullets?
What? You thought we wouldn't have any teachers on our list? My Hero Academia isn't just about students, you know. Anyway, when we met Eraserhead, he came off as pretty intense. Like, in the bad way. He almost expelled Deku on his first day of class. he doesn't suffer fools and at times would rather just be in his sleeping bag than teaching. But as the series went on, we learned about how much he honestly cares about his students. He defended them with all he had during the USJ incident, as well as the summer camp arc. He's willing to let his students push themselves, but also isn't afraid to rein them in when necessary. He might not be the most happy of people. He refuses to marry, joke after all, but he's a standout in the ways that matter. 5. Ijiro Kirishima. Okay, full admission here. If it wasn't for the somewhat random focus on him during the early parts of Season 4, Kirishima wouldn't have made this list. Not because he wasn't a good character or had a quirk per se, but rather that we just didn't know much about him. However, during the overhaul arc, that all changed. We got to see his origin, and it was very shocking. He was someone who quite understandably froze in the presence of a villain and swore to never do that again. He was inspired by a pro-hero and promised to be someone who would always protect those in need. His fight against the Yukaza goons was inspiring, especially as he pushed his hardening quirk to the limit in order to save Fat Gum as well as himself. He even got the villain he fought to change sides. That's pretty boss, wouldn't you agree? Plus, he was the one who formed a connection with Bakugo, one of the few, and that ended up saving Bakugo's life big time. 4. All Might. I am here! Yep, you knew All Might had to be on this list, and how could he not be? He was the stranded bearer of what pro-heroes should be in the MHA universe, and he's a man who himself has come a long way as a person and a hero. He was born quirkless, but strived to be a symbol of peace. When he got One for All, he used it to great effect and became the #1 hero in no time flat. And his presence was so beloved that crime rates dropped just by him being around. His smile is legendary, and his mentoring of Deku is a key part of the anime, and it grows with every season. Yes, he might not be the #1 hero anymore, but he went out with a raised fist in victory after conquering his old foe, and continues to inspire to this day. 3. Shoto Todoroki. Shoto Todoroki is definitely one of the most typical anime character types. When we first meet him, heck, he's basically a modified form of Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. His father is the #1 hero in the world, and he raised Shoto to be his better, even when that meant pushing him to the breaking point. Shoto's goal in UA was not to use his father's flames at all, but was inspired by Deku to embrace who he is and take his own path to being a hero. Shoto has opened up in recent arcs and has become both a good friend to many and someone incredibly reliable. His quirk is incredibly powerful and has been used to put down many villains, and though his family story isn't done yet, as manga readers know, he'll be there when people need him. 2. Bakugo.
Almost there! Kachan!
All hail Lord Explosion Murder! Bakugo, aka Kashin, is proof that you can't judge a book by its cover. Because Bakugo from 1 minute was portrayed as a jerk who didn't care about anyone. And yet, as many have noted, he's just as heroic as people like Deku. And he was also inspired by All Might. He's just taking things to a level that most hero characters wouldn't. His tenacity is legendary. And even when the chips are down, he never gives up. Period. And if you paid attention during a certain episode, you'll notice he's actually one of the top brains in the entire class. Not something you'd expect from him. His relationship with Deku may be tenuous, but it has evolved. And you can always count on Bakugo to get the job done and take bad guys down when it's time to fight. 1. Deku. on, who else was going to be on top? Deku as a whole is a character that many anime should inspire to emulate in terms of personality, versatility, and the ability to truly go beyond. He was a quirkless child growing up and wanted to be someone like All Might. And when Bakugo was in trouble via a villain, he didn't hesitate to go and save him. That inspired All Might. It inspired All Might. That just doesn't happen. And while his struggles controlling One for All is a recurring thing in the show, that is important. Because his struggles help Deku evolve in certain ways. Like how he adapted himself via his shoot styles, or his gloves that now shoot air blasts. And how he learned to control One for All just enough to do damage and yet not hurt himself. That says nothing of his kind personality. He tries to save everyone, even when he's broken, like in the summer camp arc. He's honestly quite brilliant when it comes to strategy, as he's proven time and time again. What's more, he inspires his fellow classmates, even when they don't want to admit it. His journey to being the #1 hero isn't over by a long shot, but when it comes, it will be well earned. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at My Hero Academia and the characters that make it shine in one way or another? Did your favorite character make our list? Do you think that some of these characters should be higher or lower than we have them? What characters do you hope get to shine throughout Season 5 of the show? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.